Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hidayat Nurdinsyah and my NPM 90220071. Okay, in this video, I am going to talking about improving student vocabulary through mapping word. A background of study. In this modern era, people demand to have more than one language. Language as a tool for communication takes an important role in our daily activities. Without communication, we will be left behind. Communication in foreign language is bridge to get information, knowledge, and culture. Indonesia, as developing countries, has realized that English is an international language and needed to be mastered by Indonesian people. English is essential to be taught for the younger people. For this case, students from the beginner up to the senior high school, in developing the student abilities in mastering English, which can be separated from vocabulary mastery, because it can be measurement of student understanding English. Identification of the problem. Considering the importance of the identification problem, the writer is identified the problem as follows: is the implementation of mapping words technique effective for developing student vocabulary? How develop student vocabulary through the mapping words technique? Is the mapping word technique effective to recover the lackness of student vocabulary? Limitation of problem. The writer limits the study about how to improve vocabulary from the student at the secondary school grade through mapping word technique in teaching learning English for the class 7 at the secondary school. In this paper, the writer focused to study about the effectiveness of the mapping word applied in the teaching learning activities to build up student vocabulary. Formulation of problem. Based on the importance of this research and the effort from increasing students in writing mastery to build up their understanding in writing technique as many as possible, the writer would like to formulate the problem in his paper as follows: is the descriptive text effective to develop student writing skills? Purpose of study. Based on the reason above, through this research, the writer wants to prove that the descriptive text is a good technique applied in the teaching English to overcome the student lackness in mastery writing. Research methodology. Methodology of the research. This paper conduct an experimental method. Some views on the definition of the experimental method said as follows. Surahmad states that experimental research is the method of the research which explains the data from predicting the event in the future. Surya Brata stated that experimental research is oriented to observe possibility of causal effect by giving treatment to one or more experimental group within one or more condition of treatment, trying to compare the result of the samples. Based on the statement above, the writers could determine that experimental research is the science used for explaining data in a future situation and to observe the possibility of causal effect by giving treatment to compare the result. The method that used in this research is the descriptive quantitative method, where it uses a field as an object observation describing a situation in the present time. In this paper, the writer tried to find out signification between the implementation of the role played in the teaching learning activities and its significance is improving student vocabulary mastery. Population and sample. Number 1. Population. According to Haji Muhammad Ali, if the sample really represent of population, what is known about the sample is our knowledge of the population. The implication is if the result which usually represent of population so don't relate to the population. Well, according to Arikunto, state that population is the whole of research subject, whereas sample is part of population. In this case, the writer has chosen the 7th grade of SMP Negeri 1 Indramayu. 2. Sample. The sample to be investigated is taken randomly. The number of sample is 40 students as the experimental or as in experimental group. In this case, the writer choose 40 students as the control group as they compare to the sample. Place and time. The place of research that conducted by the writer is junior high school, when in Indramayu the observation is done on March 6 up to 6 of June 2009. Data collection. To get collecting the objective data, the writer will apply the step as follow. Number 1 is observation. Observation or study is an activity to measuring by using some instrument or question to get the data. In this paper, the writer will observe the things that relate to the research process, which can support result of the data, such as a condition of class, the student capacity in English skill, or the condition of population, the technique of teaching vocabulary, the material, and the really using in the class. Number 2 is test. The writer observe variables and collect the data by using test as the main instrument. It consists of 1. The pre-test. Number 2. The post-test. A. Pre-test. The first test before the writer apply the method technique vocabulary by use the mapping word technique. B. Post-test. The second test after the writer apply the method teaching of vocabulary by use the mapping word technique to know how far distinction of developing student mastery in vocabulary. I think it's enough. Thanks for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.